Hello, Huntsville. Today we're at HAVEiHOPE Farm, where Bryan Cordell, an amazing crew of volunteers, hens, and horses are helping to shape and change the lives of a bunch of well-deserving young people.
B, what's up, man?
What's going on, bro?
We got you here. We're out here on the farm.
Been a long time.
Yeah. HAVEiHOPE Farm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. This is an amazing place.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did this come to be? Now, and let me set it up this way.
Okay.
A lot of people know you because you used to be on television.
Yep.
Right? WAFF. You were the traffic guy.
Yeah.
You were also traffic and weather.
No, just traffic and
traffic.
Morning show.
Morning
Co-host.
show. Co-host at
Yeah,
WDRM
WDRM.
102.1. One of the most, well, I guess at that time it was most popular morning show in the Tennessee Valley.
Yes, sir.
And now you've walked away from all of that, and you're working at the Boys and Girls Club with young people.
Yes.
And then you have this farm, HAVEiHOPE.
Yes.
Which is your ministry.
Yes.
How did you make that transition?
You know, growing up in the church, I used to hear people talking about God, speaking to them, and all that, and I'm like, well, okay, and what is that like? And what's interesting is that I had that experience. Right after WAFF, I did community work and met some people that had horses that brought their horses to one of our back-to-school events, and went to visit them during their anniversary and started hanging out. And growing up, I loved horses and aviation, but I'd never really got to be around horses up close. And so they introduced me to horses, and I ended up getting one myself, and got into it. I started mentoring kids. I went back, since I've always been connected to the Boys and Girls Club. I was volunteering over at the Seminole Club, and started taking kids out to the farm where I first had horses. And I just started recognizing a difference in the kids in that environment versus the environment that they lived in. The schools that they went to, I used to be at some of their schools with some of the kids that I was mentoring. And it was crazy. I had finished feeding the horses and taking care of everything, watering the garden. And I sat down in my lawn chair to have a cup of coffee and was doing a little reading. And bro, I heard God say, I have something for you to do. And it started developing slowly. I knew that with the horses, I just realized that a lot of the kids that we were dealing with at the time faced a lot of trauma, and I started reading up on how they use horses for therapy, and sure enough, I just saw a calm over the kids when they were around the horses and in that farm environment. Also recognized, I tell a story, a lot of the kids, I would pick them up, take them to school, and they want to stop and get something to eat. We stop by the store, and I'm trying to get them something, a banana or something like that, and they're getting hot Takis and Gatorades. And so I just started, just researching and finding out that a lot of the struggles that these kids were having with education and learning just had a lot to do with the environments that they're in, the food that they eat. And God had already started me in this process of working with animals. We had a garden planted. And then when I found out about the issues of them reading and literacy, that's when I tied in the literacy to our program. We have 3 programs in our organization. It's Hope with Horses, Hope Soil, and Hope Literacy. And those 3 combined, we're just trying to grow these kids. And I always say, ultimately, just this whole journey of me coming out of communications and into this lifestyle, it's brought me closer to God. And that's the main thing. We say our website is the first thing you see is opening the door to Christ. And it's opening the door to Christ by meeting needs and serving and loving and caring and just living the life that Jesus lived and walked. That's how it happened.
You have developed this specific ministry that is very agriculturally based and also around the farming lifestyle and entrepreneurship in those arenas also. But you grew up in the city in Cincinnati.
Right.
How did you make that adjustment?
Along the way, I've had people that have guided me and helped me here and there, but dude, oh God, everything that I've been shown, everything, the majority of things that I've learned out here, God has taught me. And it was something you said, how did I, being with God is just natural. Being in nature is natural. And yes, I grew up in the city and I was used to all that, but I just experienced a peace like I had never experienced before, being in this environment. And it's just something that I choose this rather than the city life.
Well, it almost sounds like the very experience you're trying to impart to the children is what you went through.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And let me add this. And at the time, a lot of people don't know this. You know, you work in media and you're on the radio and your television and you have to keep this persona and you have to, but I was going through stuff at that point in my life and found out about some trauma that had happened in my childhood and had to start dealing with it. And I was like 40 years old at the time. And I remember thinking, like, if I can help these kids, because I knew they were going through it, to be able to address it, deal with it right now and not have to wait until they're grown, because it's just much more difficult. You have much more responsibilities and all of that. So that was a big part of me wanting to do this, to make sure that the kids got that help and realization of just life, man, you know, at a young age.
So what else will we see today?
Literacy, a big part of what we do, like I said, is the literacy. And with this whole experience, them getting out here and in this environment, the confidence that's built through working with the horses and overcoming fears and all of that translates into that classroom. And now they feel like, okay, I can learn to read. I can do this. So you'll get to see, this is our Bella Vance, who has worked with our kids and does a wonderful job finding creative ways to teach them how to read. So you'll see that. You'll get to see them, like you said, we call her Dr. Lou. She's able to teach them some deep stuff about soil and science and growing food and what all comes from the soil, from our clothes to our food to the houses that we live in. Is just a result. So it's amazing that the kids are exposed to all this, and in this environment and the hands-on, they thrive out here and learn a little bit faster than they would sitting in the classroom. So that's the part I really like about this, them getting outside and the outdoor learning aspect of it.
When we say out here, we're on a farm, but we're actually still in the Huntsville city limits, aren't we?
Amazing, yes. 96 acres.
Wow, 96 acres.
96.
Wow. Share with us, as we wrap up talking to you today, share with us one story of transformation in a child's life.
So oftentimes it's challenging. You have your roller coaster ride, you're up and down, and I find myself often asking myself, what I'm doing, does it really matter? And I went through a period, two brothers that I was mentoring at the time that really were the first kids that were a part of this. They got to a certain age. When I met them, they were 8, 9, got to a certain age, 12, 13, and I say this, felt like I had lost them. We were close, we were tight, you know. They had been with me for years. I mean, it really hurt. It hurt, it devastated me. I felt like, what you're doing doesn't work, doesn't matter. But I kept going. And we ended up at this farm. We've been here 2 years now, 2.5 years. And not long after I was here, I was out here working one Sunday, and I looked up in the car, pulled through the gates, and out stepped Brandon, 16 years old now. And I know that he came to a crossroads in his life. I know that. And he and I had conversations, and he thanked me and told me that he remembered stuff that I told him. He has a job right around the corner from here, working at a restaurant, and he comes by every morning before he goes to work. On his lunch break, if I'm still here, he comes here on the weekend. He was here last night. We had kids out for camp, and he comes and he helps out, he hangs around. So that really changed my life, to realize that here this kid, when I met him when he was 8, and he came to a point in his life where he had to make some choices, and he thought I guess, I don't know how he heard about it, but he found out I was here, and he drove here and comes, and that was 2 years ago, and he comes here every day.
So what I'm hearing you say with this story is that the principles that have led to the creation of HAVEiHOPE, you shared with this young man even before there was a HAVEiHOPE Farm.
Yes.
And now he even supports you in what you're doing here with HAVEiHOPE.
And I would say to people, he loved horses. He loves horses. And a lot of the kids that come out here, they love different things, horses, the garden. But what I find myself praying for daily is for God to give me a heart to care and to love truly and sincerely, because I know that's ultimately what does it. And that's just my message to people, whoever I meet, whenever I meet them. Like, truly care, truly love. Don't just do things for a checklist, or to say you got your community service, or, I mean, in my case, I work with kids. There are kids out here that need us, bro. They need us, man. The parents need us, the moms need us. That's another aspect. I haven't talked a lot about that, but we are engaged with a lot of the moms now who have struggles and challenges, and it's just life, man. You know, a lot of times we find fault, but you can't find fault. Person that needs help needs help.
For anybody wanting to support what you're doing here at HAVEiHOPE, how do they reach you? How do they contact you?
We have a website, HAVEiHOPE.org. And I always give out my phone number. My phone number is on the website, 256-326-9818. And I always tell people, just come out. Everybody fits in different. Just come out and check it out. Check out the kids, and see where God leads you to fit in to what we're doing.
Beautiful. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Dr. Latrina Staley.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Hello Huntsville. Talk about what you're doing here. Why are you here?
Well, I'll say the first thing, it's very important that we train the next generation of agriculture professionals. A lot of people in agriculture are retiring, and we have to make sure that we have people who not only grow the food, but know the science behind growing food. And so a lot of children don't really know about growing food or where their food comes from. And so we want to make sure that we're teaching them that. It gives the children an opportunity not only to learn, but to actually, they go into the greenhouse and they're actually able to learn how to grow their own food. We also teach them about the nutrition in the food and the proper way to cook food in a healthy manner.
Let's talk a little bit about your credentials. I refer to you as Dr. Staley.
Yes, sir.
So you have your doctorate in what area?
In plant and soil science.
Okay, okay. And what does that really mean from a practical standpoint?
Well, sometimes when you talk about agriculture, especially to young students, they think that you're just talking about being out in the field. But there's a lot of science that goes into growing the food that we eat. There's a lot of microorganisms in the soil, and we want to make sure that we keep those microorganisms safe, right? We don't want to kill those because we need them to help build the soil up. You have scientists, plant scientists, who can talk about plant physiology and why a plant might have an issue, like if a plant is diseased or it has some kind of nutrient deficiency, you have to have people to be able to let farmers know that. So plant soil scientists, they know the science, and they inform farmers the proper way to grow their vegetables, and if they're having any type of issues or ways they can improve the way that they grow their food. That's what plant and soil scientists do.
And so when you're not here volunteering your time at HAVEiHOPE, you actually have a full-time job where?
The National Association of Conservation Districts.
Okay, and tell us about that.
Okay. Well, the NACD, I'll say the abbreviation, we represent about 3,000 plus soil and water conservation districts all over the United States. And our job is to get conservation on the ground. So we work closely with farmers to show them the right way, I won't say the right way, but the better way to grow their food, but at the same time take care of the earth. And so we have about, I say 17,000+ members all over the U.S. And so we work with all farmers. We work with native farmers, native producers. We work with Hispanic, all. And we make sure that they have the resources and the education that they need to have a profitable operation, but also just to take care of the earth as they grow food for their community.
So what you were teaching children in the HAVEiHOPE building there, it looked to me, it reminded me of what I was taught in college, and maybe a little bit of what I was taught in high school biology, but those kids really seem to be getting it and understanding it.
Definitely. When I talked about we want to train the next generation of agriculture professionals, it starts in elementary, middle school. That's the time when you really grab that student's attention. Prior to me, when I first got out of school, I actually worked 2 years for the public school system teaching advanced life science. So actually what we learned in college, they're actually learning in 7th grade, which is really exciting. But you know, kids, I love science because it encompasses reading, writing, math, all of their basic skills they can actually learn from science inquiry. So it's very exciting. And the kids, science is really hands-on. So if you have a child that might be having an issue with maybe literacy or behavioral problems or however, when they start doing those hands-on experiments and all of that, they just really get excited, and it's like the whole world just opens up for them.
Wow. How do you teach across such a wide age range in a way that they all can get something from it?
Well, that hands-on part is just so important. When you give the kids something that's tangible that they can hold on to, as opposed to just looking at a picture in a book, it really makes a difference. A lot of the children that we work with, their neighborhood is their world. You know, they haven't even been out of Huntsville, right? And so science is a vehicle to actually bring the world to them. So no matter how old they are, how young they are, to 14 or teens, they can all grasp those concepts, and then they help each other out, and so that makes a difference too. The
group of children that you're dealing with are children that are coming out of challenging circumstances.
Yes.
A wide range of challenging circumstances. How has what you've been teaching them affected their lives in terms of what you've observed?
Well, I would say it's not just the science part, it's this whole program. We have kids that we see a lot of our kids come from the Boys and Girls Club. And so we see evidence of their behavior issues. When they come out here, this atmosphere just totally calms them and transforms them. And I'm not going to say we don't have any behavioral issues out here, because we do from time to time, but there definitely is a difference when the kids are out here. And we have the house there. It's like almost like a home away from home. The kids are able to kind of just run free with supervision, but kind of run free and do the things that we used to do when we were kids, like, I don't know, make mud pies and do hopscotch and cartwheels and all of that. So it's just not one part, it's just the whole atmosphere, all of the programming here makes the difference.
My final question is, you're a soil scientist who works across the nation, even though you're based here in Huntsville.
Yes.
What has drawn you to the HAVEiHOPE program?
I was here from the very beginning. You know, I met Bryan at church and we actually started doing community work together. And he had already had, again, HAVEiHOPE, I guess, in his mind. The seed had already been planted. And so we just started working together and getting out in the community, and we really saw a lot of the needs. While I was in school, we were both working at the Boys and Girls Club, and so we kind of just latched onto those children. We got to know the families. And so because we realized that it's not just the children, it's also the families that are struggling too. And so being able just to form those relationships and realize that, hey, I mean, we all need help. And it takes a village. It truly takes a village to raise children. And so that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Like and subscribe to Hello Huntsville today on all your favorite podcast platforms. Sponsored by the Cynthia Jordan Real Estate Group, Jeff the Mortgage Guy, and Tony with T-Mail in the Morning Show.